Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and there's a PayPal link in the info box below the video once it's rendered. But most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show increases the live audience, of course, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, we are joined by The Plain Truth, Sleeping Warrior, IFTH, Goldemo, hope I've got that right, Chocolate Saiyan, and Arwin. Good to have you all, gentlemen.
Hello.
Cheerio. What?
I think
Hello.
it's pronounced Geodarmo.
Been joined by
right?
James as well. How you doing, James? Good to have you.
Hello. Howdy.
Okay, so to go back to Ian's last question, which was operating in a swimming pool, say if we had a task of unfastening a bolt and we needed to use a wrench.
You have to be in sort of neutral buoyancy as well, so that you're basically free floating.
In the swimming pools, each of these astronauts in the pool have several assistants. How do they compensate for that when the vacuum is space, no one behind them to push them back towards craft and stuff?
Again, you're saying vacuum. It's the weightlessness that's the problem, not the vacuum.
Oh, not the vacuum.
You have nothing to push off.
The vacuum that would tear them apart.
You don't have anything to push back towards. Look, in the water, they have 3 and 4 assistants each, holding their legs, pushing them around. In space, they don't have assistants.
No, but can we go back to the very, very simple example that I was giving or asking about, which is a wrench? I'll tell you the answer. The answer is that you'll try and turn the wrench, but you'll move as well. In fact, you probably won't. The wrench will have no effect on the bolt you're trying to undo.
Or the ship will turn because it don't weigh anything.
Hi, James. Can you hear us? James Richard? Hold on one second, guys. Hi, James.
You will. Sorry?
Hello, James. Oh.
Yeah, but see, you're presupposing that the bolt is going to be tightened so tight that it's going to resist your turn. I think, how about this? I think the astronauts, they all knew, you know what? We need to make sure these bolts are just hand tight so that there's no difficulty when they have to turn them in the future.
Well,
So all the different drill tools that we've seen up there now, one for each bolt almost, and type of bolt, they're using wrenches and screwdrivers.
The wrenches that they're using are not ordinary wrenches, is the point. They're using powered
super wrenches.
Effectively overcome
super space wrenches.
Oh, come on, guys. Don't talk all over him.
I mean, it's like, it's like the air wrench, like an air wrench.
You're still saying the topic of the wrench is kind of silly because we're still talking about the vacuum, and you just want to brush off the vacuum of space like it's not
I don't want
the
to brush
most dangerous aspect of the entire thing. And we're trying to say, why is it okay for them to just test in pools all day, but not in a vacuum chamber that would somehow simulate the vacuum of space? That's all we're asking.
Yeah, no,
like,
I understand. And I asked, well, what difficulty, apart from the obvious hazards that we've gone over, would working in a vacuum?
How about this? Okay, so you just said that the mechanics of turning a wrench in a pool would cause the person who is operating the wrench to move away from his turn. So he would, equal every action has an opposite and equal reaction. Okay, now imagine that in space. Do you think he would actually move away faster?
Hey, Haunted.
No. Well, he might do, yeah, but
No. Listen to
Hold on, the plain
the
truth.
logic.
Can you hear us, Haunted? Can you hear us, Haunted House?
I absolutely can, sir.
Good to have you.
Okay,
What up, Haunted?
listen to the incredulity, okay? Everyone on the panel, I believe, who is a flat earther, when we hear you say what you're saying, we are incredulous. We can't believe that you're actually saying what you are saying. Okay, so now let's just use your water to
Watch
space.
your mouth. Watch your mouth, buddy. There's a lot of people that believe in this thing. You understand? What's so funny?
Okay.
What can't you believe? What are you, incapable? Are you missing something? What,
Points.
Yeah, I'm trying to make a point. Okay, so Ian said that in water, if you're going to turn a wrench,
fucking with you.
it's going to be difficult to turn the wrench because the operator is going to move in the opposite direction of the turn. Now, that's in water with a lot of atmospheric tension and friction. Now, imagine that same principle that Ian just gave us. My logical conclusion is, okay, so if I'm in space and I have no resistance, I'm actually going to move away faster. So practicing in water, actually, that wasn't very helpful.
I think I understand your point, and you are quite right, of course, that yes, you don't have any resistance to your movement if you're in a vacuum, and you're weightless, and which is why the tools that they use are specially designed for the purpose, and so you're not well anyway, but they are. And can I hear incredulity? No, not really. I think my question is a fair one. I think you're right, though. I can't see why they wouldn't use vacuum chambers, and I have no idea at all why there is no evidence that you can find of them doing so.
Okay.
But that
Hey,
doesn't.
gentlemen, can I just interrupt for a second on purpose?
Mhm.
I just want to say hello to Nathan. How you doing, buddy? And Sleeping Warrior. There's a person inside of your chat. I'm not going to name any names. That is involved in something, and it's been a little bit of a crazy week. Except this kind of threat should be taken seriously, I think. I'm only concerned for someone. Am I concerned because anything's going to happen to me? No. And I'm not going to be concerned for anybody else. And I hate for anybody else or any sort of thing like that. But I think I made enough of a point. And this is getting out of hand. You know, this is information. You know, to me, Flat Earth is a geographical misstep. We all missed it. Am I right? We all missed this one. Like, it came to me like 35. And it doesn't matter if anyone believes it or they doesn't believe it, or they don't believe it. We can run outside and we all know we're not going to see flat or circle or sphere. Well, we're kind of going to see flat, but let's not hate each other for it, because it's bringing out the worst in everybody. And I think the point I'm making is very kumbaya and like cheesy and everything. But when this takes you to a level where you want to throttle somebody, something's wrong with you. Something's serious wrong with you.
Somebody
And I won't let myself get to that level. I won't let myself get to that level ever.
Haunted, what are you talking about?
However, I like the idea of an outlet for debate. And the more civilized we keep it, not that I'm going to tone down Nathan's show. This is way too entertaining. Tongue lashing surprise. You know, this is on the internet. We can't physically hurt each other. But when you start thinking about traveling and physically taking someone out, you got to understand, none of us know each other. We don't know each other.
Who are you talking about, Haunted? You got to put names to this, otherwise we have no idea.
A broad sweep. You know, I'm kind of making a broad sweep. I'm not talking about you guys. I'm not talking about
Let's just not put names.
That's okay, Arwen. Shut up, Arwen. For Christ's fucking sake. What are you trying to do? Like, just shoot down my fucking point?
Come on.
Why do you do that? Why gotta be so critical about anything? You know what you do?
That type of response from you right now after that.
Somebody will make a point.
Is quite.
Someone will make a point.
What's the word?
Like Anthony Riley.
Hypocritical.
And like, he misses one little piece of data. You know, he got the house. He's telling a story about a house he went to. He went to someone's address and he gets the number wrong. you chime in and tell them and remind everyone. That's really undermining.
What?
It's really undermining, and it's unnecessary.
What the hell are you talking about?
Oh, God, are you that confused?
Yeah, because I have no idea what you're talking about.
Is that your tactic too? You just keep saying that? You know, when people accuse
I
me of
have no
things,
idea what the hell you're
Haunted.
talking about. What the hell are you
Haunted.
talking
All right.
about, man?
Haunted. I'm just going to
Haunted.
say this
You're
real
right,
quick.
Arwen.
Haunted. Yeah, I
Arwen,
think
Arwen,
haunted.
you came out and said you said something
Haunted,
and negated what I just said. Okay,
haunted. Stop talking haunted.
you understand
Okay,
that, Arwen?
stop
What?
talking
I'm not done with
haunted.
Arwen yet. No, I'm not
Yeah,
going to
you
stop
need to
talking.
stop
Can
Whoever
you
that
be
is
more
telling me.
specific? Can you
No,
stop
this is
rolling
not
around and
Be
being
more specific, Arwen.
haunted.
I said
You
something. I
are
made a
being
point, and then
Yeah,
you
what did I
and
say? Come on,
undermined
say it then.
That
What did I
bothers
say?
me, and this is how I act when shit bothers me.
Yeah,
And
you know what
do
you
that
just
shit
said
all
about
the time, and I'm
you just
calling you
said,
out on it. And I
right,
made
but-
an example. If you
but
don't know
what
what
you
I'm
are
talking
doing-
about,
I have no freaking idea what
Haunted.
you're talking about.
haunted, haunted, haunted. What you are displaying right now is a small fraction of what you were just talking against a few minutes ago. And you said that a person who behaves like that has a problem. Okay, you have a problem right now, and it's
Yeah.
personal. Okay, you
Yeah,
are making a
calm
personal
down
attack.
a little bit.
hold
Calm
on.
down.
You're
No.
absolutely right.
Okay.
You're absolutely right. You see, I could only have a problem. I could only understand this from.
But now
from
you're justifying
experience.
yourself. Okay, let's just leave this and get back to a healthy debate. Okay,
No,
you can't.
no. I came in here quickly because I wanted to say something. I want to say hello to
Well,
Nathan.
it hasn't been quickly. It hasn't been quickly.
Oh, well, you were talking about what? The vacuum? Why do you keep making suppositions that use the NASA model?
Because
It
we
was
like
a
talking
we
about
were
it.
having a discussion.
Yeah, I know. I understand that. But there's no proof of anything. But yet you like to support and allow it into the room, into the argument.
Yeah, it's called flat earth debates. We debate about stuff, even theoretical stuff. Is that not allowed?
Well, what's the goal? What's
the goal is to the goal is to assume the argument of someone else so that you can show the what is the reductio ad absurdum. Okay, so if we talk about your position, I'm going to reduce it to absurdity. So when we talk about the argument of operating space functions in water, we are going to reduce it to absurdity.
For what? For what?
So that when we dialogue or whenever I have an argument,
Do you talk like this when you're in public though, or is it something you only do online? Like you know.
I think that those. If you and I were having a conversation with a beer, I think the language would be maybe a little bit different. But if you were asking me or challenging me on my position, I would use vocabulary that I hope would be clear and concise.
No, I don't mean your vernacular. That's not what I'm referring to. I'm referring to making statements about models and science and practices and all this institutions that are already set in place. That when you say the Earth is flat, and people start turning their heads, I've seen what comes about. I've gotten thrown out of family gatherings for this, and I was the most calm out of all of them, believe it or not. That's why I'm involved in this, because I think there's really something going on here.
Yeah, but
what are you
now particulars
here? What is your point? Are you trying to discourage us from talking about this stuff because of the societal consequences? What is your point?
Here's what I hear your point.
No, I'm asking you how far you take it. Okay,
as far as it needs to go.
Because I'm wondering, like, where it really gets to. Like, what are you learning? Where are we going with?
We're learning to critically think, not to politicize anything, to go with peer pressure or go with groups that are opposing each other. We're trying to find our individual paths through knowledge, by principle, towards truth, no matter how hard it is. And we're all learning.
And I think that one of the things that we came across this last week with Tim was he kept griping and complaining that Nathan just keeps saying the same thing over again, presupposition, and he just bitched and moaned about it. Okay, but the reason why we bring it up is because, first of all, maybe someone new has never heard of it. But secondly, the other person who needs to hear it and doesn't understand it, it does bear repeating. And talking about...
And I'm going to go after this statement, okay? I don't think there's anyone who's involved in this awakening that got into it via anybody telling them about it. You know, this usually not how it happens. I'm not saying it doesn't happen ever, but most of the time it's like a second or third mentioning. Like they heard it once, and the second time it comes around, they say to themselves, you know, I heard that somewhere before, so I'm not going to dismiss it this time because now I got to look it up. I got to know why that's there. And the first time was just planting a seed. It was just mentioning it. But when I hear you guys talking about refraction over and over again, it's like,
well, jump on the panel.
Maybe I'm wondering what's the drive to convince Timmy Osmond of anything? You know, he's set in his ways. He's not going to change. He's not going to change. So it becomes this like exercise in like punching yourself, like punching your own fist, or just running into a
It's not about
really,
psychological
it's not really about changing
about
Timmy's
people
mind.
and the audience and getting some real science out.
But wouldn't it be time well spent if we could actually, and I'm not going to say, well, we've got some experts in here. No.
Somebody's got feedback.
It just works when people look into it. You know, when they look into it and they're ready for it. And I don't think they're ready for it because Flat Earth's not going to change anything. I mean, half the people involved in this are in here because they followed someone else in, and we're
changing everything.
We're seeing that coming out. How do you guys think about? What do you guys think about the image of Flat Earth right now?
But listen, Haunted, what about the people that?
It's an image of struggle. This is a struggle. Sorry to interrupt you, Chocolate Sane, but this is a point that I was actually in the want to talk about. And Flat Earth, it's not about a model. It's not even about getting out the truth. This is about a psychological struggle between critical thinkers and the society and its spell of illusion and peer pressure. And it's all based on power and on mind control. And that is the whole thing about Flat Earth. It's not as much about information. No, it's about figuring out the truth in very difficult psychological circumstances where we are being assaulted psychologically to a degree that is unheard of in society. It's almost warlike conditions here. The hatred we get towards us just for not believing the mainstream belief. And that is what Flat Earth is really about. So a lot of people don't like that. A lot of people don't like psychological struggles. They don't like trolls. And that is a bit of a discouraging factor for many people to get in here. But at the same time, there are a lot of rebels out there that are kind of bored by the main line, that really see through it, that are just like, people are lame. Mainstream media is lame. Mainstream culture is lame. And they're looking for a challenge. And these people will find Flat Earth and they will join our ranks. And that is exactly the type of people we need. Tough people with strong spirits that are looking for a challenge.
This is not about ranks or anything like that.
It is. It is about a multitude.
I understand what he means.
A lot of people.
There's no hierarchy.
He doesn't mean.
No, it's not about hierarchy. It's about numbers. It's about numbers.
Don't you have a test people have to pass first? Like the Flat Earth test? Remember you said IPS?
Every day is a test.
Clover.
Every day is a test, and every day you get a new chance.
Right, but who are you to say? Who are you to make that judgment call? You know,
we are all to say.
People don't believe in their own decisions. They don't believe they can make a difference.
Now maybe you don't.
They're not gonna jump on this.
That's every individual is different, and eventually, the truth will sink in. If there is some kind of personal opposition, like you just don't like a couple of people and they don't like you, or it's like a group thing.
We're starting with Flat Earth.
Part of that group. There's all kinds of social dynamics
up to Flat Earth.
Eventually, the truth will shine through.
The truth. What is the truth, man?
The truth has nothing to do with Flat Earth. That cannot be denied. That cannot be spun around.
Why the truth has nothing to do with Flat Earth.
Eventually the most obviously standing.
Let me explain
against
why
all odds.
The truth has nothing to do with Flat Earth.
Yeah, it has.
When you
it
say
has,
the
absolutely
truth,
has.
When you say the truth is something other than
truth is that which is
Arwen, I want to hear why the truth has nothing to do with Flat Earth. I want to hear this.
Because the truth is going to take someone to discern whether or not it's true or false, right?
Yeah.
But when you try to
Right.
tell someone else that their truth is wrong, then it comes down to perspective. And then it breaks down again. It keeps breaking down. If you want absolute truths, you're going to need that person there. The moment you prove it, you're talking about the land we live on, the platform. You know, most of it
Right.
is hypothetical,
No, but
because we can only experience a certain portion of it. We can't experience it in its entirety. If we go all the way up really high,
You can experience certain
If I
facts.
could take 1 minute to have just 1 minute to speak, because I don't come here often, and usually when I do, it's because I got a big mouth and I want to say something.
All right.
Now, here's what I'm going at. Picard went up in his balloon. I don't know who believes it or not, and he went to 10 miles, and he said when he looked down, he saw like a bowl shape with upturned edges. Now, the current, consensus with a lot of people is that we have an ice wall and stuff. Now, you think of his perspective when he was looking up, from up downward. He saw a bowl, okay, a bowl shape. Now, that's his eye that's creating this bowl shape because of the lens and the way the human eye and lenses work. Now, this bowl shape he saw looking down, okay, is the same bowl shape or lens shape we see when we look up. The so-called dome that we perceive is because of the lens of our eyeballs and the way it distorts things around the very edges. Lenses are made with a platen area, and they're not perfect. And they're made with certain intents and limitations and parameters. And that's one of them. And again, if you compare his view down, what he calls it a bowl shape, or when you go up in the gondola of a hot air balloon and look down, you start to see that bowl shape.
How high up did he get?
He said 10 miles.
10 miles?
Bowl shape.
10 miles, I don't really think he's
my point is, if his claim is accurate, and when he looked down, he saw the bowl, and the way lenses operate at a great distance, the human eye.
It's impossible for him to see anything other than where he was.
When he looked down, whatever, you were there.
I mean, you're talking about the bowl of like Antarctica? That like the
when he looked down,
he actually said
a bowl shape with upturned edges.
All right.
Okay.
But
now, that is his eyes creating that image from the lenses from that 360
All right.
peripheral
Let me ask
view.
you a question before I go, Jim.
The same thing happens when we're on the ground and we're looking up at the stars. And one of the phenomena that is with that particular type of lensing effect is that things can be moving in a straight line, but they look like they hook or arc around or even turn.
Why can't we get past 23 miles?
That's all I had. So, and people who think you can see a zillion miles, it's ridiculous, it's ludicrous. It's not the way the eye works.
No,
Sorry,
I said,
Carly.
why can't we get past 23 miles? Like one of the companies, Virgin Galactic, they put out a new ramjet.
I know that
23 miles.
As far as energy goes, to get objects up and sustain them in air or up, they need energy. Run out of energy, rocket, thrust, juice, they fall back down. So
okay, well, you think they account for that, you know? Well, the point I'm making is, though, it seems like it's been a common number, like it's been a common altitude. That just
my common number for nothing. What I'm saying, I was talking about the human eye and how it perceives, and how this guy claimed that when he was looking down, he saw a bowl shape. Now, the same bowl shape might explain the perception that people have that there's some type of ice wall and that Earth is this pizza pie shape. All I'm saying is that bowl effect that he saw looking down is the same bowl effect we see when we look up at the night sky. And the lensing effects that apply to the human eye lens apply to like a magnifying glass with a fishbowl lens or, container behind it for the eye and ball. All the physics are there. And the lens has these imperfections and effects and phenomena. So now, if you can rule that out, that when we look up, this dome shape that we see is because of our eyeball, if you can rule that out, then I guess we have more to discuss. But I don't think it can be ruled out, and I think that's the way we perceive things. So when we look up and see that dome shape and all those stars at night, our eye is curving everything for the individual.
Well,
It's
that
important,
kind
our perspective view.
that kind of thing could be tested if the
Absolutely.
if the globe of the heavens is a globe because of our eyes, which could very well be, though. Well, you
It's
can
well
make
worth
other
looking
type of
into the
lenses. You
vision.
can make other
Our
type of
eye is
mediums
not
of
another
observation.
lens. We're talking
Types
about
of
our human
cameras.
eye. We're talking, and
Oh,
camera lenses.
can I have a
match
response,
35.
please?
Yes.
Can I have a response, please?
Yes.
Yeah. So you could make other types of cameras that don't have this kind of system, just like certain animals also have other types of eyes that function very differently, like flies, insects, other creatures. They have different types of eyes, even different types of lenses. So you could just test those, see what kind of image comes through those, and then test that. Does
Well, how
the
about
globe of
testing
the
it on
heavens
the
adapt
human
to
eye?
the visual medium?
Well, look at the human eye first. That's the one we're dealing with. We're not dealing with toads and lizards and snakes and bumblebees and flies.
And cameras.
And, well, cameras are made for the human eye, right? Those lenses are made to try to, emulate what we see onto a little chip and stuff, or acetate, or whatever.
Is that so? Is that really the way that
Well, do they
camera
make cameras
lenses
for
work?
frogs? No. Do they make them for frogs and goats and toads?
What does that have to do with it? No, I'm
Well,
talking about the type of
the
camera.
human eye and the way it works.
Arwen, this is what you do, man. This is what you do. He's talking about something, and you're bringing up like these mundane, like irrelevant, like little
point
things undermine.
About this, no.
We see a dome sky at night because of our eyes. So debunk that. Thanks. With frogs, toads, lizards, and bees. Yeah.
Prove it.
Hey, nobody can get past 25 miles. That doesn't seem strange.
The human eye and get some facts about that.
Oh, yeah. Why would that? Okay. Are they getting snapped?
I just wanted to say something about that limit, the 23 or 25 miles that was brought up. This may be just because of the atmosphere and its density.
Exactly.
At that height, things like helium can't go much higher than that. It can't expand. It settles at that height.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just kind of like the limit based on the methods we use to get to these heights. Like when this guy Felix Baumgartner jumped from there, or later on the Google guy, somewhere in that range between 18 and 23 miles.
Yeah, the balloons will not go up any further because the gas in the balloon gains the same level of density as the high air quality, but it's the same type of density, so it will not rise further. And rockets, they cannot get enough resistance from the air to push themselves further. So that is a problem. Doesn't mean that there isn't a dome. It just means that at a certain point, the air density will not allow regular type of propulsion that we use, regular type of travel mechanism. So we'll have to use another type of medium to travel beyond that layer, basically.
Well, Arwen, you brought something up that I heard someone else say the other day about the rockets going against the air pressure.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a misconception. The rockets, they don't use the air pressure to, propel off of. They're actually just using the force in the rocket, and the air itself actually is a cumbersome for the rocket. So when there's less air pressure, it actually makes it easier for the rocket to transport itself.
No,
it takes less fuel. But if you notice, if you see any of the rocket, the footage, they always separate right when it leaves this point. That huge the huge amount of fuel
well,
tank.
I don't trust that that moment that the camera switches to space view. That's not very reliable. So I'd rather base my conclusions in how rockets function in a vacuum by actual experiments in vacuum chambers, where rockets just wildly spin around their axis because they can't find anything to push off against, which is what rockets function on. They propel themselves by pushing against the air in which they reside, and that way they gain speed, they gain acceleration. There's nothing to push against. The gas will just wander off wildly and not create enough friction, not enough pressure for it to actually move. So
And that goes
Right.
along with the spacesuits. Like, where are the tests for the rockets in the vacuum before we actually send one into the vacuum of space? Where's that test?
There are tests, and some of it might be confidential or whatnot. But I just want to just address that again: the rocket and the air. I want to. I
You know
just
why I
need
don't
you to know
buy
that's
that
not
it's
what it's doing.
confidential?
Well,
You
it
know
may
why I
be,
don't
and we
buy
can look
that
it
it's
up in a
confidential?
we can look it up in a
Because
second. I just want to address what he was
okay,
saying about the rocket because you can imagine a shotgun, okay, and the kick, the recoil you get when you shoot a shotgun.
Mhm.
The person I was talking to was under the impression that it was the atmosphere that was giving it this kick, and that's just not the case. The kick, and the same as the rocket fuel, the same reason the rocket projects itself is the explosion itself, and it acts on the rocket by itself. Atmosphere, like I said, it just makes it more difficult. Without the atmosphere, it's got a much easier journey. A shotgun would also work just the same way in a vacuum and still give you that same kick.
No.
You don't think so?
Nope.
Fair
Well,
enough.
with an actual explosion, maybe, but when you actually ignite fuel, you can call that an explosion. It is the expansion of material, but it's not really an explosion as in
yeah,
a
because
sudden
I want
thrust.
to see that explosion maintain the rocket's, its level and its altitude and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Explosion
It is an
usually is
I'd
explosion.
love to
defined
see
as
that.
a sudden expansion, not a constant expansion. That's not an explosion.
No, that's a controlled explosion. That's a focus
Yeah, you can
explosion.
call it a controlled explosion, but I don't think that technically is an explosion. It is an expansion. It's a chemical process that causes a constant expansion. But
You know
of
Newton's
gases.
third law? That
Sorry?
every action is an equal and opposite reaction.
Where's all the footage of these rockets working in space too?
I mean,
I mean,
there's footage of it.
all the
You may
money,
not
all the
accept it.
money that NASA spends to put these things out there, you would think they would have other means of uh I don't know, watching these things and recording it, and
Right.
why not show it to the world? I don't understand why these certain key things we just don't see. Yeah, we
Right.
see the separation and the camera switch and it looks all cute, but I mean, why don't they have one of their satellites, their precious satellites, turn around and watch that? Why don't we see that from a another point of view?
The two reasons,
You
and I
know?
think honestly, because the gentleman I was talking to the other day had brought this up as well. Said, well, why don't they a 360-degree camera and show the rocket going in space? The main reason is that that's not their function. It's not the function or goal of NASA is to prove that they're doing what they say they're
You-
doing.
it's
They're
it's
focused on their
cute because
mission.
you guys always go back to that. You guys always go back to, oh, why does NASA have to show us that? NASA's job is not to show us that. It is their job. They're
If
getting their money from us, aren't they? How is this not their job to show us what the hell they're doing up there?
well, they're giving us
Why do you
numbers that
why do
we
you
have to
guys
use as a
always go
foundation
back
for
to
science.
defending them like, oh, they don't have to show us that?
I'm not defending them.
Like,
I'll actually join
it's
y'all's
crazy.
side if we did it correctly. We should, get a big petition maybe and say, hey, let's get some 360-degree footage. Let's get some better footage that we can, show to kids or whatever. At this time, they don't necessarily they have footage of it, but it's not, I guess, as the standard that you're looking for.
They don't give a shit. It's all PR. NASA is a PR firm. That's all they ever been. They just, the reason why they have so much stuff filmed, like we don't know so much about the NSA. It's just NASA. It's just this branch. They really need to shove it in everyone's face because there's nothing else for them to do with all this money, which I highly doubt they get $50 million a day. We got to really, take the critical thinking and ram it right in there.
We really should.
Disregard.
And if the shape of the
space-
of the Earth is in question, these are the guys that are put out there to tell us what it is. These
We
are the
gotta
guys
rise
that
above
gave
it.
us the first picture of the Earth. Remember
I
that.
agree.
They are
How
the
many
ones
people
that are
do you
giving
think?
rise
the
above it.
official distances to the planets and everything. They are the ones that confirm it basically for us.
Yeah.
Well,
Give
Thank
us
you
our
know,
foundations for all the formulas in what you believe.
it's not true. We had those beforehand, but
Oh,
how
really?
many? Yeah, we had that hundreds of years beforehand, and
Yeah, but it wasn't
not the point.
confirmed. It was just theorized based on sticks in the ground
I'm not being
Yeah,
horrible to
nothing-
Karen B, by the way.
and the
how
Cavendish
many
balls.
people think we should get before NASA will? You said NASA. If there's a question about the shape of the Earth, they should do something
Do you
about
think
it.
NASA?
How many
Do you
people
think
do
they,
you
We're
at this
implying that
point they're
they're
going
the
to
authority.
respond to that?
We're implying they're the authority when we ask that question. That,
Right.
you know, we don't have validation. We don't need Neil deGrasse Tyson
You guys
validation.
suggested that.
You need your own
We
validation,
should.
and you're good to
Point is,
go.
we shouldn't be asking. We should be demanding that shit from them.
But even that,
That's what I'm
Shouldn't be
saying.
asking
even that,
for
you
it.
know, they're not going to give us anything. They're not going to give us anything. We got to go about it ourselves. You know, you can save
Agree
up
with
your
you.
money, invest in something, get your own company, because that's what they did, and that's what everybody else is doing, and they deserve it. If you really
Well,
want,
we could probably do something.
but us making accusations and living a victim mentality, telling everyone that we've been deceived. I wasn't deceived. Nope, wasn't deceived. Basically, I didn't notice this, and I should have picked up on it a long time ago. Don't you think we all should have picked up on it?
I think I did pick up on it when I was a kid. I
I think
Haunted.
really
I was
did.
thinking about it during Star Wars.
I
too,
just-
when I was a kid.
I
Star
think,
Wars
I
is so
think
fake,
I
yeah.
picked up on this. It just. At
But we
some
didn't believe
point-
in ourselves. We didn't believe in our own opinion and or
Yeah. At
thoughts.
some point, I
Well,
said
before we
the teachers know what they're talking about. The scientists know what they're talking about. It's in my textbook. I have to take a test. So obviously, this
Let's-
crap has to be real.
Before I go, I just want to say something to Pete. Pete, I want to say thank you for your encouragement about my acting skills. You know, I don't practice as much anymore. I'm a little rusty, but it's guys like you out there that are just kind of helping me along. And I just wanted to give my regards.
I just want
Okay.
to chime in there.
Pete
I wasn't going to because I was in the chat talking exactly about this, so trapeze and circus skills and stuff. But it's one of those interesting things that I did a performing arts course, yet I very rarely, if ever, get any grief whatsoever about being a trained actor in essence. But yet there's people like Pete that will call out people on the panel as being actors, and it just kind of makes me laugh. I don't get any crap for this whatsoever.
Pretty good too, you know. I mean, shit.
No, we don't have to do that right now because you're bringing up a good point, Haunted, about not worrying about NASA and ourselves. And that's what I wanted to invite you or anybody if I have a list of some tests that maybe we can try to do to attempt to observe these things that seem out of our reach or.
I can answer that.
Well, I'm inviting you to come and join. I'll put it in the chat.
But you understand how some of these things
Dirigible.
are out of our reach, right?
Dirigible. That's how we're gonna get there. I mean, it's a dangerous mission. And the other day I saw a hot air balloon. I was driving upstate New York, and I came right over this hill. Holy shit, man! It's so surreal looking, but they were only going like couple of hundred feet. If we can get a balloon set up, take a look at Operation Manhide, the documentary about the team in the 50s that took balloons up to space, and they had the record for the highest jump before Baumgartner made it 1,000 feet higher. They're using balloons. Our weather balloons are popping, so I guess we need an outer chamber so the small one blows, because I guess I'm understanding it like the higher you go up, the more it's going to expand. Eventually, it's going to pop. But if you had a larger balloon, that'll allow for higher altitude. That makes sense. The balloon might be about 200 yards rolled out, and when it expands, it could be the size of like a building. You know, we're talking like 100 yards in diameter. It's going to be a big one, but it'll take a lot because they're really expensive. They weigh thousands of pounds when they're wrapped up, but it'll take getting the fabric custom made, and that's about it. I would invest in that. It all comes down to when these things happen, they don't get planned properly. It gets a lot of the logistics get done online, and then there's a GoFundMe, and you know, if someone's got the money out there, just pay for it, please. Just pay for it so we can move on. But if they don't pay for it, You know, we can always tap into Nathan Oakley's checking account. He'll throw us some of his cash.
Yeah, right.
You know, he definitely got a bonus. For
You'll have a
beating up
job.
Big West today.
Hello,
Oh, I can't breathe. Mick he did surrender. I got to give him credit for that. Nathan, I was talking about this the other day. I got to give the guy credit. He did kind of admit to it that he assumed. It was big of him to say that. I think.
I agree.
I don't know where he's at now, though.
But then at the same time, he basically took on the general stance that it's not required, just like what the ballers are saying constantly. So he basically went into the standard denial of its necessity.
Yeah, but where Mick West basically admitted to it and, you know, confessed what we already know, which is that the R value is an assumption he takes from the standard model. We all get that. You know, the reason he wasn't on the dumb of the year list was because Charles gave a conditional acceptance that he could prove it with scientific evidence rather than admitting the awful truth of their religion.
Hey, I love all you guys. I'd be a fool. I'd be lying to you if I said I hated you.
Me too?
Well, you could be a pain in the ass, Arlen. We're going to have to work on this relationship, okay?
Oh, not in your ass.
But everybody else, no, I don't, you know, no ill will. You can't, you know, text attacking people is the weirdest thing because you can't really type in a hard, like, aggressive way. You just really type hard. You know, I got called a few names and stuff, and I don't know. I say Ranty says I'm a weirdo. That's cool.
We're all pretty weird.
You know, it's like when you can get away with saying stuff about someone, there's no accountability. People will do it.
You gotta be okay with accepting your weirdness. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, you gotta celebrate your weirdness.
Shit at this point.
If your weirdness makes you the character you are, then celebrate it. You know, even if it's weird, even if you're a tranny. There's a couple of tranny hunters in there. There's a guy, Will Ferris, who's like, you don't even use your real name. I'm like, dude, everyone knows my real name. And he told me IPS was a tranny. What's with the tranny thing? Flat earthers and trannies and like, I don't know, man. That's division right there. That's
We're all gender
more division.
Fluid, man. We're all gender fluid.
You know, if I don't get along with someone's taste in things, so be it. The moment I give them shit for it, you're the enemy now. You became the enemy. What's the point of Haunted being on here? All right, now that hurt. Low screen design. That hurt.
And honestly, kind of derailing conversation.
I kind of am, though.
All right, purposely, huh?
No, I'm not purposely derailing shit.
Okay.
All right, Haunted, you pull it.
All right, guys. See you later.
All right, brother.
See you later, buddy.
Okay.
So, where were we? Who's got all that background noise?
Yeah, can you mute if you're not chatting, please?
So where were we? We got.
We were talking about mechanics in space and training in a vacuum chamber, I think.
Yeah,
well, we've got 6 minutes left. Are we rounded out Dumb Fuck of the Year award, or are we? Was that the end of the last show?
I mean, it was one of those. I wasn't going to be counting up actual votes in the chat. I mean, if you want me to give a conclusion, because I did pay vague attention to who was saying what about who, and I think the Rumpus was the runaway winner, so there's no need to conclude it. I mean, if you want me to do a quick straw poll now, just at the end of it, I'll do it just for the chat that's listening. So on the last show, we had Dumb Fuck of the Year. And if you want to vote now, you can. You're welcome to. We'll take a quick straw poll now. But Red Rhetoric, for his failure to actually prove that you can have a pressurized system next to a vacuum, he was number 1. So vote 1 if you feel Red Rhetoric is deserving. Or number 2 if you feel Sean Hufford for his failure to apply perspective correctly. Number 2 for Sean Hufford. Number 3 for Flat Earth Math for failure to prove R. Vote 3 for Flat Earth Math. Vote 4 for Paul Voigt for failure to provide evidence of a molten iron self-perpetuating core to Earth. That's 4 for Paul Voigt. And last but not least, 5 for Rumpus for his failure to model the Isle of Man. So that's the Rumpus. Vote 5, and we'll see who wins.
Oh, and when are we gonna do the most annoying Glober of the year?
Look at all them 5s. Go Rumpus!
Hilarious.
Yeah, he's
How can you
definitely
fail
going to
to
win that.
model the Isle of Man? I live on the Isle of Man. Not difficult.
Say it again.
I said, Nathan said something about failing to model the Isle of Man, and I'm just wondering what on earth, how you can fail to model it. And, you know, I sit on it, and it's here. I don't understand.
You don't sit on
Would
a
you rather?
model.
Would you rather model a Isle of Woman? Isle of Man. Come on.
It's Ellen Vannin. It's doesn't mean man.
Ah, okay. I've only been to Great Britain
I
one
didn't
time,
know that.
so I
What-
haven't
Is
been
that,
to
does
South
that
Sorry
make,
to
America.
is that
interrupt.
the
What
real
does it
name?
mean?
Is that,
I didn't
is that how
actually
you
know
say
that.
its real name?
What does it mean?
What?
You said you gave a meaning. I didn't hear it. I didn't know
No,
what you...
I gave the name of the island in Manx, which is Ellen Vannin.
Ellen Vannin.
Ellen Vannin, yeah, which
Cool.
does just mean man's isle or something like that.
Man's Island. Oh, cool. Thanks
Something
for that.
like
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, can I also just point out that Mackalt is pronounced Mackalt and not Morgold or anything else like that?
Mackalt. Yeah, we've been told
It's
it probably by
entirely-
the guys on the island about 20 times. It just never sinks in. So I'm really sorry. It's not
No, it doesn't
Morgold.
matter. I
It's
don't care. I
Mackalt.
mean,
We should know
yeah.
that. It's Mackalt.
Yeah, but
Yes.
On the other hand, in our defence, if we call it Mackalt and it's spelt Moghold, people
Yeah.
aren't going to know what we're on about.
Fair dues. Yeah, actually, I think Anthony, you'd already picked it up. I think I put it in a chat somewhere with the phonetic type spelling.
I had seen it somewhere, yeah. I don't know whether it was from you or not, but I know Paul, the other guy from Isle of Man, from Douglas area, he told us it was Mackalt, and he says it in a Scouse accent. So instead of saying Mackalt, he says Mackalt. So shout out to Paul.
Yeah. I wonder. You have to. The Manx accent, especially on that side of the island, can sound quite Scouse.
Oh, really?
Yeah, even though it's not. It sounds different on the west, even though they're only 15 miles apart. But I live on the west, and the accent here is very different. I'm not Manx, so you can't go from me.
No, you don't sound Manx. You sound Lancashire. Where are you from?
That's a good guess, Cheshire.
Cheshire, Lancashire. It's a bit south, a bit further south.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did sound English.
I've lived all over, so
You're a wanderer.
yeah.
But sorry, now that that's out of the way, so Anthony, if you can just explain why we say failure to model the Isle of Man.
If I can just explain, what do you say?
So we're accusing Rumpus of failing to model the Isle of Man, and obviously that's very short and doesn't give any detail and can be left open to interpretation. But there's a very specific thing that he has not modelled, so if you can just detail that.
It started with Slice Barkane and a few others that challenged me to go back to the beach and get the same observation from the beach, which I got as low as I could, which was basically just above the gloopy sand. Got the same observation, and then Rumpus claimed that once I released it and he could see it, then he would formulate an opinion based on the maths to explain it. And me and Nathan were like, no, your model's got predictive capabilities, Rumpus. You should be telling us what we should see, how we should see it, and explain what the conditions must be. And we challenged him to tell us whether it would be, bright and sunny, cold and wintry, overcast. What would the conditions be to be able to explain how it was that I got the evidence that was requested from the beach? Obviously, the beach is a few feet above sea level, compared to the original observation that was somewhere between, well, there was 2 or 3. It was 100 feet tall, and the Rumpus needs exceptional circumstances, and that very narrow band of weather conditions would be quite easy for them to identify because they would be very narrow. And Rumpus said that once we released it publicly, he would simultaneously, at the same time, he would release the same evidence to show the explanation for it. And some 6, 7, 8 weeks on, still nothing from Rumpus.
Oh, I see. Fair enough. I was just because where I live, I can see Ireland and Scotland from where I am.
So you must live on the east coast somewhere then?
No, the west. The island is tilted.
So you're on the west coast, but you can see Ireland and Scotland?
Yeah.
You must be able to see England as well then?
No. Scotland sort of kind of curls around the Isle of Man. In the north.
No such thing as bendy light on the flat Earth, though.
No, the land curls around. I'm not going to. I'm not going to get into that argument because there isn't time left in the chat.
No.
And I don't think it'd be very productive.
Nigger.
Well, yeah, no. From where I am, I can see. Yeah, Scotland. The island is actually sort of runs more
You
north.
must be Ramsey then.
No, Ramsey's on the east.
Oh yeah, sorry. I've got my east and west completely muxed up. No, you're right. Ramsey's on the east, and I'm thinking, yeah, so you must be on the west side of it to see Scotland and
Yes.
Ireland.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Sorry, I was getting my east and west mixed up then for a minute.
No worries. No worries. But from the mountain, you can see on a decent day. In fact, on a decent day, you get a really good view of
New York,
Scotland, Wales, England, and even from Douglas, you can see. Well, you can see the mountains in Cumbria, the tops of them. You can't see the whole mountains, but it needs to be a clear day.
how do you know it's only the tops of them?
I beg pardon?
How do you know it's only the tops of them?
Because that's all I can see.
No, but how do you know it's the
I say
tops?
the
Not all of them,
tops,
but very small.
I can't see the whole of the base of the mountain. I can't see the whole mountain, but I can see a big chunk of it. I mean, a big chunk of the Lake District Mountains. But in truth, I'm not. I really genuinely. I mean, I know what I think, and I know what you think, and I don't think that having an argument about it, certainly now, well, by argument I mean discussion, will resolve anything now. So I was just having a pleasant chat. But what I can see, I mean, from Douglas, I think someone said you wouldn't be able to see it, but definitely from Douglas, from virtually sea level, you can see Cumbria.
Yeah, that's where St. Bees is for anybody that's interested.
Yes,
in Cumbria. It's on the west coast or west part of Cumbria.
Hi, Hillel. Hi.
Hello.
But I wouldn't be able to identify St. Bees from.
No, because it's too small, isn't it? Things get smaller in distance, right?
They appear to, yeah.
Hillel struggles with that one. He nearly made the Dumb Fuck of the Year award nomination list.
Well, no, I think the perspective argument's a really interesting one. I think it's wrong, but I think it's very interesting, and I can understand it. And I absolutely agree that a lot of the photographs that you guys have shown are very difficult to interpret. And I don't understand. I can't interpret them. You get some weird stuff happening around the horizon. And I think, was it you that showed a video yesterday of the ship passing behind the other?
Yeah, Ranty. Awesome.
Was it Ranty?
That's Ranty.
That was a really cool effect. I mean, I don't know optics, so I couldn't explain it.
No.
It was very cool.
So IFTH, if you just declare that you don't really understand it, but yet you're pretty certain that it's wrong. So how would you know if you don't really understand it?
Yeah, sorry, would you mind? I have said my name's Ian Owen.
Oh, sorry. I didn't know.
No, I don't mind. It's just it saves you using all of my initials. I don't understand optics well enough to explain what was in that video.
But then how do you know by default that it's wrong?
Didn't say it was wrong.
No one said anything about it except it was an interesting. It was a very interesting picture or video and effect. And I said I can't explain the effect. I don't know if anyone can. I presume someone can. I don't know what it shows. Whether it shows evidence for the globe or evidence for flat, I don't know.
Oh, it shows an apparent horizon, and those ships are both in the circle of confusion beyond the optical slant that starts at that apparent horizon, and things were being reflected, as typically happens in the circle of confusion.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Owen, you've thoroughly lost me by using a whole load of jargon that
if you watch my last hangout, in the first 10 minutes, I explained it with a picture of how the field of view basically narrows down, but beyond a certain point, the field of view can't narrow any further. Perspective still applies beyond that, and things are basically condensed beyond that point, and it's all in a straight line of sight.
Yeah, I understand. Sorry, I understand.
So if you want more clarity on how that actually works with perspective, then I suggest you watch my last hangout. It's very easy to see. I explain it very simply, so I suggest you watch that.
No harm.
Indeed.
Stick a link to it, Owen, and I'll stick it in the chat before the show ends.
All right. If you go to my page, it basically
No,
on top.
I need you to do that.
Right. I'll link it up.
Thanks.
Right. Da-da-da. Yeah. So after 10 minutes, my video there is gone. So I talk about other stuff anyway, but at least the first 10 minutes is pretty concise. So there you go.
Yeah, there it is. Set it away.
Thanks for the link, Nathan.
Yeah, thanks for putting that up. Yeah. No, it's I think from the limited reading I've done and my 30-year-old understanding of optics, there's something around the circle of confusion that I think is confused.
What, you mean it makes a round ball appear flat?
No, I'm saying I think it possibly is being misapplied, but I think what I'd best do is have a look at Owen's video, and then I'll go away and satisfy myself by doing some more research and understanding it better. I don't what I at the minute think, and it is, as I say, it's highly tentative, but I don't think it relates to the human eye. Although, having said that, it may relate to my eyes because my eyes aren't real. But that's
They're not?
my lenses are, well, they're real lenses, but they're not human lenses. They're plastic.
Oh, wow.
You have bionic eyes. Can you see the curve?
Cool. Wow.
Yeah. No, actually, I can't.
No.
They're not bionic. No, when I was about 40, I had cataracts. So I've got plastic lenses instead of the old.
You had cataracts at the age of 40. Was that something to do with work?
No. It's a family thing.
Wow, that's a really young age, right?
Yeah, well, my mum had them. Well, sorry, at 40, I had the operations done on both eyes, so it was diagnosed a bit earlier than that. But my mother had it at exactly the same age.
But I think it's incredible that you've got synthetic ones. I mean, for years and years, they had to wait for bikers to come off and crash for people to have that operation. In other words, it required someone to die for you to get their, to get a replacement lens.
No, that's not. No, not lenses. That's corneal implants. Not
okay,
lens.
my bad. So
No,
what's the difference?
No
what's the difference then?
Nathan.
What's the difference
between what?
Between what you've had done. So what physically is in your eye that's synthetic?
Oh, right. In my eyes are plastic fixed focal length lenses.
Mm-hmm.
So your natural lens is in a little sac, and then what they do is they puncture the sac, they mush up the lens, suck it out, and then shove a new plastic lens in the hole. In fact, now that was 10 years ago. Now they can implant lenses which will focus, so they're flexible. Whereas mine aren't, so they're fixed focus for distance, which is why if you could see me, you'd see me wearing glasses because I need them to read.
So you're effectively
there's all kinds of operations that
right?
can be done nowadays.
No, short-sighted.
They can even like laser off the top layer of your eyes if there are like irregularities in there to make it more clear cut. So the modern eye operations are much more improved compared to like 20 years ago.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're right. Yeah, the eye stuff is. I mean, I would say that the cataract operation is the most remarkable one.
Well, it's one of the ones from
not because it's difficult, but which it isn't particularly, but because of the effect is absolutely immediate and there's no pain.
Have you ever read into an oculist? Do you know what that term means? Oculist?
Oculist?
Yes.
No, I don't.
Okay, so the operation, as I understand it, it's been a while since I looked into this, but there's I'm pretty sure it's linked to Freemasonry and them teaching you how to perform that operation back in the day. So in other words, it was providing sight where people were blind, and the practitioner of that was called an oculist. I can't remember whose video it was that I got the information from and then started looking into it, but it was a fascinating subject. But yeah, oculist. I can't even attempt to spell it. Sorry.
I'll look that up. They're called ophthalmologists now, but
Sure. Yeah, oculist. Well worth having a look into it.
I'll tell you what I can do.
An practice, basically.
Get the light in the right direction, and my eyes glow.
Like a cat?
Yeah.
Cool. Very cool. I love it.
If I could ever work out precisely how to do it at will, it would be very disconcerting.
So basically, your party trick would be to scare the shit out of people in the corner of the room at night time.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I've only ever seen it myself a couple of times in a mirror. The light was in the right direction, but other people have pointed it out quite a lot.
Blue marble.
That is pretty cool.
Well, I can vouch.
I
If
can't
that's the
lie.
one I think it is, I can vouch for him.
Hey, Blue.
Friend of, not.
Oh, sure. I haven't really talked to him that much, but he's all right.
Oh, Blue is friendly.
Yeah, oh yeah, very.
Okay, well, he needs to speak.
I was about to round out, so hopefully we can get a hello and maybe we'll go on a bit longer.
Yeah, at least so we can hear your voice. Come on, Blue, say something.
Hello.
Oh, hello. That
Hey.
didn't sound like a human voice. Say that again.
Hello.
Oh, okay.
You're a pretty young kid, aren't you?
Yeah.
What's your age?
14.
Wow.
Oh, Nate, don't round out yet. We got a prime one for plucking here. So, Blue, do we live on a sphere or do we live on a flat plane?
We live on a sphere.
Really? How do you know that?
You can watch boats go over the horizon. You can watch lunar eclipses. You can go to Lake Pontchartrain.
Oh, Lake Pontchartrain.
Yeah.
No, I prefer Panthéon.
Yeah, sounds like France.
Yeah, it does.
I like this guy. This guy's cool.
Where are you from, Blue Marble?
England.
Really? Whereabouts in England?
Essex.
That part. That's not really England, though, is it?
No, I don't think so.
They have their own passport down there.
Yeah, they sure do.
I'm confusing it with Norfolk, I think.
So East Anglia, that was made famous because of Jade Goody. You might not know Jade Goody, but she thought East Anglia was part of Europe. Isn't that what she said? Shout out to Jade Goody.
So, hey, Blue Marble, how did you stumble upon the Flat Earth debates? Have you been following us for some time, or did you just come across it?
I came across it a few years ago when that video of that idiot D Marble decided to take a plane and take a level into a plane and prove the Earth is flat. It sent me crazy.
All right, you don't think that's a credible experiment?
No, it's absolutely ridiculous.
But you do agree that if a plane was flying around a sphere, it would have to bend its nose down all the way, right?
No, because it would fly level with the Earth.
Yeah, but
Because that level actually means straight, right?
Yeah, but it's always dropping away from you on the ball.
No, because gravity keeps it down.
Shout out to gravity.
Level doesn't mean straight.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it
Look it
does.
up.
It doesn't.
Yeah, look
means
it up.
perpendicular
Yeah, it does.
to the center of gravity.
No,
or
that's
wherever
not
the
what it
force is
means in the
coming from.
dictionary. It
Hold on,
means straight.
hold on. For the Blue Marble guy, a couple of shows ago, we ripped Gravity an absolute new one. I'm sure it was done by John Stunger actually, so check it out. But Gravity, there's no scientific backing for this bullshit.
So
Yes, there is. You can measure gravity. You can
Tell us all about it.
experiment.
Tell us about how you measure it.
You can measure downward acceleration force. You can't prove
Hold on,
gravity.
Arwin.
Gravitational
Give him a
pull
chance.
based on mass
Arwin,
attracting
give him
other
a
mass.
chance.
Arwin, calm down.
Yes, you can. You can do the Cavendish experiment.
Blue Marble is using all the trigger words for us.
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, this is.
Oh,
I want to spare the poor guy. I don't want to rip him a new one on Cavendish. We've literally done this a couple of days ago. So if he's not seen that, I don't think it's fair that we rip him a new one based on Cavendish. So yeah, check out that. I'm sure it's called Gravity versus Air Pressure. It's a science versus scientism, but with that I am going to round out the show. Thank you very much to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible, and thank you of course to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. If you hated the show, you know exactly what to do, but if you like the show, maybe consider sharing it with a friend or subscribing if you have not done so already. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!